Another one of those awesome AGFA 101 releases is the Godmonster of Indian Flats. Now, I was super excited to get to this movie. It came out in 1973. It just looks and sounds crazy. A killer mutant sheep goes rampaging on a local community. Sold. I am in 100% on that mayhem. But it never quite goes that way. It's something rather different. It kind of leads into an old local mine, which becomes the focal point of the movie, as we see a banker's representative who turns up to this town, which is also a Wild West reenactment tourist attraction as well, which means it offers up wealth of possibilities within this one, as he tries to buy the rights to these mines, as the townspeople continually try to put him off in really devious and obnoxious ways.
$7 million, and we'll pick up your letter stock.
I think not, Mr. Barnstable.
And then we kind of have this secondary story, which is all about the Godmonster, this killer sheep mutant thing, which rivals the Annihilation Bear in awesomeness.
Eddie, I want you to let us keep this hybrid organism here, in my private laboratory.
Yeah, I can go with that. And it's a focus on the mines, focus on the business practices, on the community that really captured my imagination. I was not expecting this aspect of the film, but it really is a great focal point and something that you can attune yourself to and get into quite easily. Yes, there is always the tease of the Godmonster that is coming as we cut to the lab as people are working on it, monitoring it.
Response to injection of 1% aminosalicylic acid is atypical. Intravenous feeding continues.
But you go back to this real life story and leave the fantastical for a little while, and it's just as rewarding. Now, one of the things I'm almost a kind of fan of with these movies is the incredibly poor acting, poor staging, and the great effects. But Godmonster of the Indian Flats almost reverses that. The effects in the monster aren't that great. They're hokey, silly, but still incredibly fun, and I appreciate that. What I wasn't expecting was the absolute awesomeness of the acting and the staging and the direction here. It's really well done, and although a lot of it is not great performers, that they're not familiar faces, they really go for it, giving it their all and give really wonderful performances.
You put me in touch with Reich Direct. I see you get a piece of the action.
Naturally, I'll have to inform Mr. Reich and Mr. Silverdale of your offer. You've got no class at all, Phil.
This isn't stilted or off kilter. These are great performances that really help build the characters, create the mood, and the idea of almost like gentrification or big money coming in and just swallowing up these kind of towns. It's got that grander kind of story to it, but it still has a sheep monster that we get to later in the movie. Now, although it's called Godmonster of the Indian Flats, I think it's like 62 minutes into this movie before we get the breakout or the first kill, or is it even later than that? It's a little bit tacked on. It's the kind of climax of the movie where we see this hulking behemoth attack the people that's left in this small town. And it's a nice little add-on, but it wasn't what the movie was all about for me, which was a great surprise, but a really pleasant one at that as well. I thought Godmonster of the Indian Flats was terrific, really enjoyable. And this is one of those 101 films, AGFA movies, that comes with a whole second film, which is The Legend of Bigfoot.
My name is Ivan Marks. The film you're about to see is authentic. It records the last 10 years, which has changed my life.
Which came out in 1975. And this is, again, a really oddball movie. I sat and watched this one, and although it's a kind of one-time watch, it was kind of fascinating to see, because it's done like a pseudo-nature documentary as we follow one man hunting down the Bigfoot. So there is like 10% of the movie which is basically this guy talking or looking for tracks, and then it's interspersed with lots of nature documentaries and footage, stock footage maybe even perhaps, as he gives a constant narration. He is telling us the story of how they were hunting for the Bigfoot.
Bigfoot. I'd seen Bigfoot.
And it's a kind of creative yet ramshackle way to put a movie together. There's no really great substance here. It's just this one performer telling us the story, and as we see footage of nature and things, maybe a man in a suit now and again, sporadically throughout this. It reminded me of the old kind of Disney nature documentaries that you would see in the 70s. Had that kind of feel about it. But it was an interesting addition to the film, and I'm glad I kind of watched it. Of course, there's other things on here as well. Look, let's just jump into the disc of this one, have a look what it has to offer. But I will tell you right now, well worth picking this up. Here we are in the disc for Godmonster of Indian Flats. Let's go into the extras. Now we've already talked about the Legend of Bigfoot. Next up we have Rampaging Monster, trailers from the AGFA vault at 8 minutes 51. This is a series of monster movie trailers, including that classic Grizzly. Next up we have Berserker shorts from the Something Weird vault. These are 3 short films that play back to back. The first one is School Bus Fires. This 25-minute effort is a horror tale about a school trip going wrong. It's just, to be honest, it's up there with just the most bonkers, crazy kind of things you would expect. It's almost like a warning shot for parents, just to make them extra terrified about kids going on trips. We have Strange Sightings. It's a short about UFOs with a series of wacky characters talking about their idea of abductions and things like that. And then we have a black and white short called White Gorilla, which, surprise, is about a white gorilla. And there we have it. That's everything on this disc. It's one of my favourite discs from the AGFA range so far. So there we have it. Godmonster of the Indian Flats. Another fantastic release from 101 Films and AGFA. I really enjoyed this one. I was excited about it. I was looking forward to it, and it hit the mark gloriously. I would love to know if this is something that you're considering picking up, if you want to check it out. Have you already bought it? Have you watched it? You need to let me know your thoughts in the comment box below. I want to know what you think of this film. As always, there's more content up here. If you want to see more of my stuff, hit that like button, which really helps the video, and share this video as well. Let other people join the channel, which would be amazing, and you can join me on the membership or the Patreon program. There's a link in the description box below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on Man v Film.